No. Okay. Can I have Ms. Jamila Ilomo from the Immigration Department of Tanzania to speak on citizenship in the United Republic of Tanzania? Also joining her is Hanerod Mananga. Thank you.
His Excellency Ambassador Ombeni Sefue, Chief Secretary to the State House, Her Excellency Ambassador Liberata Mulamura, Ambassador of Tanzania to the United States. Unfortunately, Mr. Bell, the mayor, was so busy, but I pity him because this is the best presentation he's hearing from Tanzania. President of DICOTA, Dr. Ndaga, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before I continue to present what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is doing, I would like to thank the Almighty God who has enabled us to be here today from all over America, from Tanzania, and also for having our distinguished guest, Ambassador Sefue, who not only has a busy schedule, but it's not easy to get his 3 days here full-time with us. So I'd like to thank Almighty God for enabling us to be here. I would also like to thank the DICOTA for organizing the convention in co-partnership with the ministry, with the Tanzania Embassy in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you a little story with DICOTA and me and the Jumuias. When I started this job in September last year, I went through files and I got so many information from Jumuia and everybody. And it was that time when the government of Tanzania had decided to call upon Tanzanians all over the world to nominate names for the special parliament for the constitutional review. And that is when I met DICOTA for the first time. It wasn't an easy experience. It was very challenging with the Jumuias and all sort of, and I was thinking, oh my God, who are these DICOTA who have so much power in America and yet they're Tanzanians? And I've just joined, they can't even give me a break. But I realized they are powerful in terms of skills and they mean good for our country. And I thank the Jumuias who are here, the Jumuia communities in America, who also are very powerful and connected in their own states. So it was a great opportunity to be associated with this gathering here today. Thank you very much. Before I continue, I would also like to tell you that this convention comes at an open time where the economy of Tanzania is growing. As you just heard Ambassador Sefue telling you about how developed we are going, slowly but steadily, and they are promising there. It's a promised land whereby each and everybody and from all over the world is actually setting their eyes and ears to the opportunities available. And this, with the DICOTA coming with this convention here, is actually an opportunity for the Tanzanians who are living abroad to capture those opportunities rather than leaving it to foreigners. So thank you, DICOTA, again, for having this convention at this material time. As our country is above many countries in Africa with the peace and security we have in the country, the stability, and the growth of the economy. And that makes my work more interesting, because each and every day I discover new diasporas. When I joined, I knew the Americans, the British diaspora, the South African diaspora. But guess what? Now, I even have connections in Cambodia. My duty was to actually tell you about what the ministry is doing. But as you know, the ministry has been at the birth of the diaspora, of the DICOTA. So I think you know what the ministry is doing. Firstly, without you, I wouldn't have been there, because it's the diaspora department, and you need someone back home at the headquarters. You have the ambassador here, but you need someone at the headquarters to run about and come about with things so that they can avail you and you can get engaged in different activities. So, as we all know, the objective of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when it comes to diaspora is actually engaging the diaspora for the development of the country. But underlined there, for our personal developments as diaspora. So the government is encouraging you to engage in the economy through your skills, investments, and whatever you have, which will bring development to the country. But also develop your own selves, like building houses back home, having businesses back home, capturing the opportunities which are available. As we know now, and the oil and gas industry is not only the drilling, but the different services which can be provided by diaspora. And you know what? You are lucky. You have the skills based in this country. You are working in the industries of oil and gas. You are working in the service industry. So you could actually come back and capture the opportunities very easily with the support of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania. Honorable guest of honor, allow me to brag a little bit of what we've done for 1 year since I joined the department. The department was there since 2010, but we joined it late last year. And it's not only me. I've got a team of vibrant men and women, 2 men and women. I have Sef Kamtunda, which you've communicated with, which you've worked with. He was in charge of organizing the DICOTA meeting back home. We have Tagi Mwakawago. We have Deo Doto, who is in charge of mobilization. We have Elizabeth, who also is not with us for a moment because she's got a baby who is also a diaspora baby. So with these vibrant young men and women who I always see as ambassadors in the making, we've been able to actually mobilize, sensitize the Tanzanian nation in understanding the importance of recognizing the diaspora and engaging the diaspora. We've partnered with a local radio, very popular, a local radio and TV called The Clouds Radio, with a program called Mwana Dar es Salaam, where they give us free airtime. And a number of diasporas who visit my office have actually been given time. Dr. Semakula is now very famous back home. He gets 3 to 4 hours free airtime with the partnership which the ministry has established. We work very closely with our different partners in the government, in Zanzibar, the Revolutionary Zanzibar, the Regional Government of Zanzibar, but also the Prime Minister's office, whereby our Prime Minister has a passion for diaspora, and he feels that there's much potential in engaging the diaspora, and assigned a very vibrant lady called Susan, who is here with us, who's going to speak later in the day. We work with the Home Affairs, the Immigration Department on issues of citizenship, as the citizenship is a union matter. Apart from that, we've actually been able to facilitate Kadiri Singo, who is a member of the Special Parliament for Constitutional Review, with different networks back home, like the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, forging partnerships with other politicians through our minister in promoting the dual citizenship. Unfortunately, the dual citizenship did not pass, but I'm glad we're going to have a certain status which will enable us to do more. And you know what? The Constitution is not written on stone. It can always be reviewed. So let's keep on showing that we are important in the development and economy of Tanzania, and then we can convince our fellow Tanzanians to actually review our Constitution. And I believe maybe in the next generation, we might have the dual citizenship in Tanzania. Apart from that important activity, which was also challenging to me, we've actually facilitated the diaspora returnees who don't know where to go when they come back, to show them, to introduce them to banks, to introduce them to different stakeholders, and show them how to go with. With this in hand, we realized that we can't do it on our own. Our office is small. Oh my God, time. I like talking. Our office is small, so we've partnered, we've forged a partnership with private-public institution, the Tanzania Diaspora Initiative, who has set up, which the initiative was just launched in August, whereby we had the President of the United Republic of Tanzania launch that initiative and established first homecoming. This is going to be an annual event supported by the government, including the government of Zanzibar and the Prime Minister's office and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At the moment, we're in the process of establishing a diaspora engagement policy, where we've done the groundwork and come up with a situation analysis, and we're still looking for funds to actually establish that policy and follow the government procedure so that we can have a diaspora policy, which is going to be a framework on how we do business on a day-to-day basis. We are also establishing a migration profile and a web portal at the ministry. This profile is not only going to feed us with information on where the diaspora are, but it's also going to help in decision-making when it comes to major decision-making of the countries and involving the diaspora in the economy of Tanzania. As we said, one of our main tasks at the beginning was sensitization. We are planning to continue to have a platform for communicating with you directly through a web portal, which will be housed at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've continued mobilizing through different methods of the communities. Recently, I've just been to Botswana, where I find a very vibrant association, well organized, and I promise to link you up so that you could actually come up as a one team and one voice. We've been coordinating our leaders' visits to meet you in different states and different countries where they've traveled to. Dear diaspora, as you've seen, it's 1 year. We've actually achieved this much. But with your involvement, we would actually achieve more. So what I'm urging you to do is to actually stop the talk, but let's walk the talk. And lastly, I would like to tell you that there's a very beautiful song which was being sung when we were coming in, Tushikamane Tusonge Mbele. I need you guys so that I can sustain this job. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Your Honorable Guest of Honor, Your Excellence, Chief Secretary, Ambassador Ombeni Sefue, Ambassador Liberata Mulamula, distinguished delegates, all the protocol observed. My name is Hanelore Manyanga. I work with the Immigration Service Department under the citizenship section. We are here, two of us. We are going to do the presentation on citizenship and the ongoing process of the draft policy on migration and development. My presentation, the purpose of my presentation is to just, how do I move this? Sorry.
It's fine.
Yes. Right, good. Okay, my presentation outline, as you can see under the slide, has 7 parts. First is objective of this presentation, then I'll give you just a brief history of the Tanzanian citizenship and who is the Tanzanian citizenship, identification of the Tanzanian citizens, dual citizenship to minor children, future law on citizenship based on the proposed new constitution, and then before I conclude, I'll leave the floor to Jamila Elomo to do the presentation on the draft policy on migration and development. The objective of my presentation is just to give the general knowledge of the existing law and the proposed future law on citizenship based on the proposed constitution. In brief, I hope we all know what is citizenship. Generally, I don't need to go into detail on this because I know all of you know what is citizenship, but in general, it's the relationship between an individual and the state. And the international law, citizenship is synonymous with their nationality. Citizenship history in Tanzania cannot be defined in isolation of the union. You know that the citizenship issues, the citizenship matters is a union matter between Tanganyika and Zanzibar. Now we call it Tanzania. The policy governing citizenship, there are 2 policies. There is one, the Latin word is jus sanguinis and the jus soli. Jus sanguinis is based on the blood relation. This is what is happening in Tanzania. There has to be a blood relation for a person to be considered as a citizen of Tanzania. And like here in America, it's based on the jus soli. Once you're born here, you automatically become an American citizen regardless of the history of your parents. During the colonial era, as you can remember, we were under the German, because during the colonial time of German, there were no codified laws on citizenship until when we came under the protection of British. That is when we had a law on citizenship matters. That was the British Nationality Law of 1948. At that time, during the British government, there were 4 types of citizenship. Citizenship by birth, by descent, by registration, and by naturalization. The citizenship by registration was based on those who were coming from the Commonwealth countries. And the citizenship by naturalization were for those foreigners who were not part to the Commonwealth countries. When Tanganyika attained independence on 9th December 1961, it enacts its laws called Tanganyika Citizenship Law, Tanganyika Citizenship Act of 1961, Cap 512. Zanzibar at that time was still under the subject of His Highness the Sultan and had the Zanzibar Nationality Decree of 1952. Then after the union between Tanganyika and Zanzibar, we are now having one law on citizenship, and it is called Tanzania Citizenship Act, Chapter 357. That act was revised in 2002. And the said act came into operation on the 1st February 1998. Under the said act, there are 3 types of citizenship. There is citizenship by birth, citizenship by descent, and citizenship by registration or naturalization. Citizenship by birth is divided into 3 parts. We have those people who were born before independence, and then we have those people who were born in between independence and before union, and then we have those people who were born on and after union. Therefore, if you want to determine who is a citizen of Tanzania by birth, you have to ask yourself 3 questions. First, when was he born? If it was before independence, there are issues to consider. First, you have to look at the blood relation. Where are the parents come from? Were they born in Tanganyika at that time? And then, when was that? Was it before independence? And then, the last issue is to consider the blood relation, the place of birth. So there are 3 issues. You have to consider the place, where was the person born, to understand that if he or she is a citizen by birth. Then you have to know the blood relation, if he has a parent who is actually born in Tanganyika at that time before independence. Then for those who were born on or after independence, you only need to consider 2 issues. That is the place and whether the parent is a citizen of Tanganyika. The third one is if the person was born on or after union, you need to consider that the person, the place of birth, and the blood relation. Those are the issues to consider. That's why I said when you want to determine who is a citizen by birth, there are issues, 3 issues to consider: the place, when, and the blood relation. After independence and before Union Day, that is explained over there. Then we have a citizenship by descent. This is where a person is born outside Tanganyika, outside Tanzania. So if a person is born outside Tanzania, in order to be regarded as a citizen of Tanzania by descent, there has to be a blood relation with a Tanzanian parent. That is, a Tanzanian parent must be a citizen of Tanzania by birth or by naturalization and not by descent. If you are a citizen by descent and you have your child outside of Tanzania, that child cannot be a citizen of Tanzania. That is the position up to now. And the position also is quite different, because if a person was born on or before union by a woman who was a citizen, who is a citizen of Tanzania, the child is born outside Tanzania by a woman before union or before on or after union, that child cannot, that woman cannot pass over the citizenship of Tanzania to her child. That was the position before union. But now the position has changed. A woman who is having a child outside Tanzania after on or after union can pass the Tanzania citizenship to her child. Yeah. Then the third one is a citizenship by naturalization. This is given to those people who are not citizens of Tanzania, the foreigners, and it's divided into 3 groups. We have naturalization of minor children who have been maybe adopted by Tanzanian citizens, and then we have naturalization for married women, women who are married to Tanzanian husbands, and then we have a naturalization to other foreigners, those who they are not married to Tanzanians, but they want to be Tanzanians. The procedures, they're quite normal, because you have to fulfill the conditions which are prescribed under the Tanzania Citizenship Act, Chapter 357, revised edition of 2002. Like I was said before, identification of a citizen has a duty, the Immigration Department has a duty of determining who is a citizen of the United Republic of Tanzania. The following documents may be required so as to prove one's citizenship status. You need to have a birth certificate of a person or an affidavit. We know that historical the natives did not have a birth certificate. That's why it's very difficult for us now to prove whether you are a citizen or not a citizen, because most of the Tanzanians from the village areas, they don't have a birth certificate. They'll come with an affidavit to prove that they are citizens. And we know that some of the affidavits are forged one. The above mentioned documents are used to determine who's the citizenship of person, depending on when or she was born. Therefore, the three questions I was saying, where he was born and to whom and when. Those are the three questions when you want to determine who's a citizen of Tanzania, you need to ask yourself. There is a dual citizenship to minor children. Under the existing law of Tanzania Citizenship Act, the issue of dual citizenship is only allowed to persons under the age of 18 years. Once you have reached the age of 18 years, the law is required to renounce that other citizenship and take an oath of allegiance. Otherwise, if you do not do that, you cease automatically to be a citizen of Tanzania. That is the position for now. A future law on the citizenship based on the draft constitution. The draft constitution has a number of the proposed provisions with the issues of citizenship. There's a right to citizenship. Every citizen has the right to recognition of his or her citizenship. The proposed constitution has come out with the two types of citizenship: citizenship by birth and citizenship by registration. That means there will be no citizenship by descent. That means the people who were regarded as citizens by descent, they will now be citizens by birth after the proposed constitution has been passed by the parliament. Then there is also a provision on the birth for foundlings. As you can know, that Tanzania is a member of the United Nations, and there are two conventions relating to the reduction of stateless people. Therefore, this provision is intending to capture that situation, to ensure that we do not produce stateless people in our country. But there will be provisions under the new law to ensure that we do not incorporate people who have not met the conditions specified under the law. And also, the proposed constitution has a provision on foreign marriage to a citizen of United Republic. A person who is married to a citizen of Tanzania may apply for citizenship of the United Republic after being sustained in a marriage for a period of 7 years. This means there is a balance now. Yeah, because we want to avoid the sham marriage. Yeah, we want to ensure that there is really. Therefore, there is a balance now between men and women. Men and women. That means if a foreign man married to a Tanzanian woman, the marriage has to sustain for a period of 7 years. Even a woman married to a foreign man, the marriage has to sustain for a period of 7 years for him or her to be considered to be given Tanzanian citizenship. Under the proposed constitution also, there is a status of people of Tanzanian origin. This provision is like a saving provision because it's giving now an opportunity to what we consider as a protection to those people who have Tanzanian origin to have a specific status when they visit Tanzania. And like now, if you were a Tanzanian and you renounced it and you took another citizen, when you come to Tanzania, you need to apply for a visa. But this one has come as a defense or an opportunity for Tanzanians now to have a special status that will protect them when they come to Tanzania, and they will have a specific rights which are protected under the said provision. So citizenship is a delicate and sensitive issue. All matters concerning citizenship must be referred to competent personnel within the Immigration Service Department, Ministry of Home Affairs. The identification and registration process of Tanzanian citizens must be conducted with due diligence to minimize forgery and misrepresentation which might occur. Before I complete our presentation, may I give the floor to Jamila Ilomo to do a very short presentation on the draft migration policy and development. Thank you.
No, sorry, I'm just saying. No.
Thank you, the former speaker. My name is Jamila Ilomo. I'm working in Immigration Department Legal Section. I'm not privileged to be a diplomat, so I'll use the language of law enforcers because I'm a gatekeeper. Thank you. I know technology is enemy, but I'll try my best to myself. Sorry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I first recognize our guest of honor for being with us, Ambassador Ombeni Sefu, as Chief Secretary of Tanzania President's Office. Another, may I recognize Balozi Mulamula. I was privileged to work with her when he was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I see different faces that I know. I thank and I've been privileged to be here today, all protocol observed. My task is just to present on Tanzania National Policy on Migration Development. I would like to say something about that. Maybe I would say that in our program we have seen the name of Professor Lutino, because it's the one who was doing situation analysis and developing of this policy. That's why we say that it's better to see for the mouth of the researcher to hear what was transpired in our policy. Unfortunately, because of other engagement, will not be with us, so I've been assigned to say something. But if I skip some important, bear with me, because I'm not full expert on those research issues, but as immigration, and because I was the coordinator on these matters, I know very well, and I have some few members of the NCC who together we support the process of developing this national policy. And also I have to thank the group of states, African, Caribbean, and Pacific group of states that support us to develop this process by providing funds and experts to come and work with government officials to develop this policy and to have ownership as part of the law enforcers that will implement this policy. May I start with the introduction? First of all, it appears on the slide, that's the objective, is to the participant to go through, to give a nutshell what is being provided in the draft policy. As we've seen in the slide, over the last decades, there was being a growing recognition of international migration that cannot isolate from the development. With the right policy, migration can make a positive contribution to the poverty reduction and development. In Tanzania, we have recognized that. That's why we spearhead this process of drafting this policy. Currently, in Tanzania, we have different ministry institutions that are developing their own specific policies, which it reflects migration issues or components. However, during the process, we overcome with certain challenges because different ministries, they are developing specific policies. But those policies, they are not speaking to each other. So there is fragmentations and uncoordinated in terms of developing and to have harmonized policies that can address the same issues of development. As I mentioned, I'm not an expert on this one, but I'm trying my level best. The policy address key issues on that reflect migration development. The first issue is mainstreaming migration development, immigration and citizenship, labor migration, immigration and brain drain, diaspora, knowledge, know-how, and other social emitters. May I start with the mainstreaming and migration development? It is a decision of the United Nations that member states should mainstream migration and development into their development policies and action plan for purpose of alleviating the poverty and also to recognize the importance of international migration. And issues of immigration and citizenship. The policy during situation, the findings show that we have immigration and citizenship policy, but those immigration and citizenship policy does not reflect aspect of development. That's why we are here. As we can see that maybe we have noticed that we have losing our Tanzanians because of certain restrictions that is appear in our laws. Also, we have not captured aspect of development in immigration policy because of restriction laws, or there is not facilitative law that it impedes aspect of development. Labor migration also, we not take advantage of having vibrant labor migration that we can send our people outside Tanzania and come with the technology, money, and everything that they can alleviate poverty in our countries. Also, we have seen that in addressing immigration and brain drain, that most of Tanzania, those who have benefited from Tanzania resource, that they've been trained by government resource, but they migrated outside. And we have created some gap in Tanzania, brain drain. But how to fix them and to tap those potentials wherever they are, and to benefit from those people that they're outside Tanzania. So it's the policy that give us direction. Also diaspora, I think Madam has elaborated well on this aspect, and that one we accommodated on the policy. This policy, first of all, is not giving specific, it's a general policy. It gives overarching guidance to other policies. Wherever the policy has been, whether the Minister of Foreign Affairs is developing policy regarding diaspora, they should reflect some aspect which is being provided in our national development policy on migration that should be incorporated and to avoid uncoordinated and have to harmonize the situation that we have in Tanzania for the time being. And also during research, it is found that what we are speaking today, as Madam has been said, that we want to monitor making profiling because we don't have evidence migration. Tanzania, we're facing challenges on statistics issues regarding issues of migration. Statistics are collected in an uncoordinated way, and someone, if you search for such data, you cannot find because we are not pulling in a database or whatever. So we want to have migration evidence base that will help us to have a policy that, to have policies that it will reflect what is transpired in our evidence that we have been collected. Also, we want to spearhead regular migration. If we support regular migration by facilitating people to move, to come in, that it contributes because we know your people, where they are going, and you will profile them accordingly. What kind of people, where they are staying, if you allow or facilitate regular migration. Also, we have addressed some building capacities and partnership for migration management. We say that we cannot address issues of migration without cooperating either within Tanzania. We have to work closely with the other institutions like labor, foreign affairs, prime ministers, because they are dealing with the issues of migration, but we have to speak the same language. Also, we have to work with international organizations and international community in terms of addressing challenges of migration. And as we say that in Tanzania is the specific countries in terms of refugee migration. As by number and decades, we are hosting refugees in Tanzania. Now we have to address issues in a development way, because this migration we kept in these refugees were previously kept in a settlement. They are not allowing maybe to work because of certain policies that we have in Tanzania, but it creates burden to our country, because they are using our tax, they use our social service in other parts. So, and some of them because they have been kept in a settlement, they are moving to other places illegally. So we are not monitoring them carefully. Also, in Tanzania, we have challenges of irregular mixed migration. This will find those smuggling, human trafficking, who knows those are said. And that one policy, it addressed those issues. Statelessness, as the former speaker addressed, that we have to abide to international instrument, what is being provided. Other issues, we have addressed issues of migration and environment, migration and peace and security and stability. In Africa, we cannot speak migration without this component of migration and peace and security. And the head of the AU have made decision on this aspect and said that the member states, when we are addressing the issue of peace and security, even in our sectors, we have to reflect issues that it make us to move the continent to be to have peace, security, and stability. Even our policy taken on board those issues. And also, we have addressed migration and the human rights. We thought that if we were not, human rights is a paramount right to everybody. So when we are dealing in our day-to-day, we have to abide to human rights issues. Also, issues of age and gender vulnerabilities. Today, women and children, they are moving. Today, women, they have 49% they are as international migration, if you compare to men. So our policy should take on board, because previously it's only men who are moving. Now even women, they are moving. But when women are moving, they have other vulnerabilities in terms of sexual abuse, and also to facilitate, because these are family care. So how the policy will address if the woman left their home, those children, elders, because they are the one who taking care in a day-to-day. Also, we say that internal migration, in our policy, we recognize that we have internal migration, that it creates conflicts, pastoralists and agriculturists. These are components of migration, regardless whether this is the international migration policy, but also we say that we have to include a component because of the specific nature of our countries, because we have, each country has uniquenesses in terms of comparing to others. Internal displacement. In Africa, we have adopted convention in 2009 on internal displacement. So as Tanzania also, we have to recognize and incorporate in our policies issues of internal displacement. For special way, may I address very little bit on diaspora. As former Speaker Rosemary Jairo addressed that there is no written policy on diaspora matter in Tanzania at the moment. However, as he mentioned, there are several initiatives I cannot mention because he has already mentioned. But the policy addressed the following. Because we have overlapping policies under different ministries, it provides guidance that other ministries in making of the policy should make close reference to the National Migration and Development Policy, engaging diaspora through ministries responsible for diaspora matters. For the time being, it is within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We put that word because in the near future, the ministry can change, so can move to another, it depends. So for the time being, we could stick to Foreign Affairs. Also, collecting data and research on diaspora matters, that's the component that we thought that it is important. Also to create program for diaspora. As immigration, we have learned from other countries, they have programs such as tourism for diaspora. Come and see in Tanzania. Also, we should create activities. If we have experts here, they are doctors, we can create programs in Tanzania. Come during vacation, please, apart from enjoying and seeing our scenery, please provide your expertise in our social services. And may I conclude, as I mentioned, because I am not a gatekeeper. I'm gatekeeper, I'm not a diplomat, so bear with me. There is a general consensus that migration can and does play a positive and pivotal role in the attainment of development. In Tanzania now, we have recognized what is required is to have an appropriate policy for this purpose. Such policy must be coherent, comprehensive, and should address both the positive and the negative aspect of migration in a balanced manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Ambassador Ombeni Sefue, the Chief Secretary, the Honorable Mayor, City Mayor William Bell, the Honorable Ambassador Liberator Mulamula, Honorable Permanent Secretary from Ministry of Lands and Urban Settlement, Mr. Kidata, the leadership of DICOTA, members of the DICOTA community, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good afternoon. We're delighted, we're actually very happy to be here from National Education Authority, and I'm representing my Director General, Mr. Dickson Maimu. My name is Paul Wathondi, and I wish to take this opportunity to kind of give you feedback of what has been going on in Tanzania. So I do understand some of you are quite new to the National Education Authority, so I'll just take a brief moment to introduce the institution. The National Education Authority was launched in year 2008, and the four fundamental or main objectives of the organization is, first of all, to identify and register all people living in Tanzania, issuing identification card or ID cards to all people with age of 18 years old and above, fostering good governance in the country, and establishing and managing national identification database that can be used by beneficiaries and all key stakeholders. The concept of national identification database or system in Tanzania is lying on the four fundamental questions. And these four fundamental questions are based on knowing whom a person claims to be, what does a person own, what does he or she do to earn a living, and where does a person is residing. So basically, the national identification system is supposed to tag a person through the key life events, from the moment that the person is being born to the moment where a person leaves the system through death. At the end of the day, you find the national identification database sitting in the middle and linking to other major systems in the private sector and in the government sector. In the process of registering and identifying people for national identification, there are three fundamental prerequisites that are supposed to be answered. And the first one is the proof of existence, whereby we need to prove the existence of this person, and we normally do this using the local government authorities. And we also need to prove the age of a person, and we do this in the mainland, we do this with the RITA, and in Zanzibar, we do this with the Register of Birth and Death. Apart from that, we also need to prove the citizenship. We do this with our sister entity in the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Department of Immigration Services. It's true that throughout the world, many developed countries have been able to develop because they were able to identify the people and have credible and accurate data about these people. And with the same mind, same concept, the national database for identification in Tanzania is trying to bring about accurate and reliable data about people in such a way that we can plan and execute key projects in a manner that we do understand our people. There are enormous amount of opportunities that comes as a result of that, but we can say that we're expecting to see the economy of individuals growing up, but at the same time seeing a national economy also growing up as a result of individual economies growing up. Also, we're expecting to see some growth in the revenue through tax, but also There are other benefits that relates to socioeconomic development and the national security. I'm trying to use my time because I say not here. We have some major national programs such as DICOTA and Mkuza. These are the national strategies for growth and poverty reduction in the country. And these strategies in all their clusters do address the need of identifying people in the country. But we also have the national strategy, the Mkurabita, which is a property and business formalization program, which is entirely depending on identifying a person and tagging that person to the property or whatever business that person is doing. Right now, I think most of you are aware that we have the Higher Education Students Loan Board in Tanzania, and one of the challenges we're having is that we try to identify the students that are acquiring the loans, but thereafter, these students sometimes, we cannot get them to return the loans. So with that, we're expecting that because that is a key thing for us to do to make sure that our students are going to school and we assist them. So we have a better system that will actually make sure that we give loan to the person that is having that loan, and thereafter we can actually ensure that the loan is actually being returned back. But of course, we also see that the individual businesses, there are so many schemes right now in Tanzania, something like DICOTA and so forth. But these have come as a result that people cannot be identified. You go to the bank, the interest rate that you earn or you get is too high. So this is the impact of these people not being identified. What we're expecting is that at the end of the day, when these people are identified, then the interest rate will go down because the individual risk related to the business that this person has will be lowered. Coming to the national security, most of you, I think, are aware that Tanzania is bordering 8 countries, and we have one big border, which is the coastal strip, which is going through 5 regions, leave alone Zanzibar. And with that, we have a very big land. We have 945 square kilometers, and because of that, unfortunately, we have a porous border, very porous borders, and we are becoming more vulnerable from cross-border related crimes and refugees, community-related crimes, international gateway for drugs trafficking, intentional crimes, and increasing internal related crimes to which are actually come as a joint arranged crimes with the neighboring countries. So we're expecting that after identifying people, at least we can have this mechanism that we can track this person that is doing some sort of crime-related activities can actually be tracked in such a way that we can kind of mitigate some of the risks related to the impact of things that they're doing. Maybe I should take this opportunity to also give you feedback of the current status. Last time I was here, when I was talking about the concept of national ID, I was all talking about plans. But I feel privileged today to talk about what has been happening in Tanzania. So we managed to complete the development of the co-identification system, and this was launched, and we started issuing national ID cards. And currently, what is going on in Tanzania is that we have finished doing registration for those who are very familiar with Tanzania in Dar es Salaam region, all the 5 regions in Zanzibar, Pwani, Mtwara, and Morogoro. Also, currently, as I'm talking now, the registration process is underway in Tanga, Kilimanjaro, and Ruvuma regions. Mass ID issuance has started in Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar, and well, some of the government officials that are even in the diaspora community also have already been issued the national IDs. The other system that has already been implemented is the interfacing system with other major systems. And here we are happy that we see like private sector, like banks like CRDB are very in the forefront, are trying to get this benefit. But also there's Tanzania Credit Reference Bureau. I think the BOT speaker might speak about it. We were in the final stage of doing the testing for the interface with their system. We do realize that from the current law that we are only allowed to register a person who's residing in Tanzania. But as an institution, NIDA, we thought that there is a major potential for registering these people who are living abroad. So we have set out an office in Dar es Salaam, and we have made the procedures in such a way that everything is fast-tracked. So when you come there, we're sure that if you give us notification and we book your appointment, probably it's going to take about 2 to 3 days for you to be issued with the national ID. And we hope that anytime you guys visit us in Tanzania, you will give us a notification that you're coming back just to visit, and we'll be able to process you an ID. However, currently there's arrangements, and we are trying to come up with a modality to actually see how we can register people who are also abroad. We can use our embassies, but still the law is governing the registration, is limiting us to do the registration according to the law that are residing in the country. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope in the question and answers I might have many questions to answer because many people are eager to getting the IDs, but we are ready for that. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chief Secretary, Ambassador Ombeni Sefue, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Ambassador of Tanzania to the United States, all dignitaries, including DICOTA leadership, good morning. Let me thank the DICOTA leadership for organizing this very important event and also for inviting the Bank of Tanzania at least to give a presentation on particularly our very special area of interest of enhancing diaspora remittances. As you know, the Bank of Tanzania is a government institution which is responsible basically for prescribing monetary policy, but of course we are responsible for ensuring macroeconomic stability, which is directed towards economic growth. And we know for growth to happen, we need to invest. And in order to invest, you must be able to save. But we all know that the incomes of our population in Tanzania are very low, and therefore the ability to save and invest is also very limited, and therefore really growth has not been doing very well because of the little ability of our people to save and invest. And therefore we think that there is need for Tanzania to put in place appropriate policies which will attract also foreign savings into the country and also therefore attract foreign investment. And looking at it very quickly, we think that we have a very important source of foreign savings coming into Tanzania, and this area is the diaspora. So we have taken a lot of interest in terms of ensuring that we attract diaspora remittances into Tanzania. So in my presentation, I will talk about why we think diaspora remittances are important, which I've already briefly described, and what do we do in order to enhance diaspora remittances, what will be the preconditions, and what instruments are we using. And by the way, are there any economic opportunities in Tanzania to attract diaspora remittances? So we will try to see. Diaspora remittances are very important, as I said, in terms of increasing savings for investment, and also they're important in terms of enabling the country to accumulate foreign reserves, because diaspora remittances will come in foreign currency and therefore should enable us also to accumulate foreign currency, which is very, very important in terms of stabilizing our currency as well. And of course, those people who receive the remittances sometimes directly, like your families in Tanzania, they benefit directly in terms of improving their livelihoods or in terms of even increasing their investments. But also, they take a very good part in terms of reducing unemployment, because for those people who receive the remittances can also be self-employed and therefore generate some employment. And also, there is a source of revenue for the government in the sense that once remittances come into the country, they generate investment and they generate taxes for the government, and therefore they increase government revenue as well. In 2012, for the first time, remittances became the largest external financial source of finance for Africa. And this was even above foreign direct investment and overseas development assistance. Sub-Saharan Africa was estimated to have received about $31 billion in remittances, which was about a 1% increase over 2011. Nigeria, being the largest recipient of remittances, account for about 67% of inflows in Africa. Ghana remittances in 2012 amounted to about 18.7 billion, which is quite substantial. As remittances to Africa represented about 11% of global remittances in 2013, and this compares with 18 in 2001, which shows that actually remittances are growing also. Sub-Saharan Africa is expected to grow significantly in the coming years. They will reach about 39 billion. So you can see this is quite huge amounts of savings coming into our economies. But while other countries are benefiting significantly from financial remittances from overseas, Tanzania still has a long way to go. Tanzania is yet to establish a formal method, first of all, for capturing the remittances, and this is unlike our neighbors like Kenya, for example, Uganda and Rwanda, who are more systematic in terms of capturing what is coming into the country from the diaspora. So we have estimates only of what is coming into the country, and therefore we think this is one area also where we need to put more effort, because really without data, without statistics, you cannot plan. For the EAC region, as you can see in the chart, the largest recipient is Kenya, and is followed by Uganda, and then Rwanda. Surprisingly, Tanzania comes about fourth. So really, we have to pull up our socks. How do we increase diaspora remittances? First of all, we have to ensure that we have a conducive macroeconomic environment which would attract remittances into the country, because there's nobody who is going to invest in an economy which is not doing well. So the first thing is for us to ensure that we have macroeconomic stability which will attract remittances into the country. But also we need also to ensure that our banking system is also efficient. We have our bankers here. They will talk about what they are doing at home. And we need also to have payment instruments to facilitate, which is the infrastructure, to facilitate the inflow of remittances into the country. But also, we must ensure that we minimize risk in terms of in our payment systems. And of course, political stability is very important in terms of even encouraging you to think about coming home and investing. If there's no political stability, I think you will be very suspicious and reluctant to invest in Tanzania. But I think Tanzania, we are blessed for that. It's an economy which has been most stable by any standards. Tanzania is among the fastest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa. We are growing at an average of 7% over the last decade, and we are bound to sustain strong growth even in the medium term. As you can see, our GDP has averaged of 7% over the past 10 years or so. And also, even if you look at nominal GDP in terms of dollars, you can see our nominal GDP has been growing. We have reached 33 billion, as already said by the Chief Secretary. And by rebasing our GDP, we are going to go up by around 25 to 27%. We will be more than a 40 billion economy. Kenya rebased their GDP recently, as said by the Chief Secretary. Kenyan economy is a 50 billion economy, but we are chasing Kenya very, very, very closely, as you can see, unlike in the past. The structure of the economy has changed quite significantly. While in the past we used to depend a lot on agriculture, as you can see in the chart, agriculture used to account for 58.9% of the GDP, but now it has gone down to only 24%. So more efficient sectors now are becoming more important in Tanzania. For example, we have manufacturing, which has been growing very rapidly and increasing its contribution to the economy. We have tourism, which is very, very important right now. And in fact, in terms of